Hello, viewers. You're welcome to another episode of the HTML tutorials for beginners. And I think this will be for this course, for this basic course, this will be the last episode we'll do for now, except we have other reasons to do higher levels HTML programming. But for now, I am your instructor, Vincent Hope. Like I said, this is HTML Tutorials for Beginners, a crash course on HTML basics. So far, what have we done? We have done lesson 1, where we introduced ourselves to HTML. There we did titles, we treated headings and contents. We went to lesson 2, we did adding links, image, lists, and tables. And for all these lessons that we have treated, the links are added to this lesson below, and you'll find them in subsequent videos. Then lesson 3, we treated formatting tables in HTML, adding line breaks. Now today we're going to be treating lesson 4 to cover the basics of HTML. So we're going to talk about more on links, which we did in lesson 2, adding forms, adding labels, adding a submit button, adding a hard code, adding text box, and a selection box. So let's make progress. So the first thing we're going to treat here is creating an internal link. Internal links helps you to scroll to the top of a page. What does that mean? For example, you can have a very long page, a very large page where you have to scroll and scroll and scroll down. Now, if you want to get back to the top of that page, you also have to scroll and scroll up. But there's a shortcut which you can do in HTML that will cause, when you click that link, it will jump to the top of the page. So what do? You use this code here, href, opening tag href, inverted commas, top. Now we just put this just for the purpose of reference. Go to the top of the page. We close with the anchor tag. Now by the time you click this, it moves the user to the top of the page. So the first thing we're going to do, let's see where we stopped. We go back to our main page, which is the lesson 1 we've been treating. We double click it. Now where are we? Okay, let me bring it down. I bring it down a bit. Okay, I bring it down into the record screen. Okay, so if you see what we have so far, you see that this is where we are. We are at this point. So if we scroll down here, we see we stopped at where we put tables. We stopped the point where we put tables. So this is where our last lesson stopped. So we're going to be continuing from below this table that we added here. We are doing it progressively so that you can follow and understand exactly what's happening. So now I go back to my code. This is my code editor, Notepad++, which you can do also on Visual Studio Code. Now this is the point of the table. This is where the table starts. Table, style, tr, and the rest of it. These are all the coded. So I'll go to my Microsoft Word and let me copy this. I copied this code here, which is href. I copy this href top, go to the top of the page, copy to this point. I right click, I click copy. Remember, look at the code very well. Then I go back to my code editor. I come down at the last line here and I paste it, which is Ctrl V. Now you can see it's now here. So I save, which is Ctrl S. Then I go back to the main file. I click on it, I open it, lesson 1. Then I scroll down. Now if you look at, now you see that you see a link here, go to the top of the page. Now if you look at most of the information of the page are up. So if I click this based on that code, I click it, you can see now it jumps to the top of the page. it jumps to the top of the page. I hope that is clear. Now let's make progress. So we go to Microsoft Word again. Now we're talking about image link. This is when an image is coded as a link. Initially, we had done a text link which we used for Google. Let's see whether we can get that back. Let's double click this. So let's scroll down. You can see here we used Amazon link. If I click it now, if I click this link, okay, so you can see now it opens the Amazon website. So this is a text link. This Amazon link here is a text link. Now let's make an image also a link. You can see if I put my arrow here, it still remains an arrow, so it's not a link. Now let me go back to my Microsoft Word. Now let's look at the code properly. We have href https wbbc. Now we want to make this link a BBC link. BBC now /targets now equals to blank. This is the full for a normal text link. Now immediately after, what did we put? We put the image itself. Image source c/pictures pi pic3.gif, which is what we used for the other one, and the height and the width. So let's copy this. We copy it. We copy this code. We right click it. Click copy. Go back to the code editor. Notepad++. Come under this. Under this. Okay, we can come under this, or we go. Okay, let's put it under this. Then we click Ctrl V, which is paste. Now look at it here, and I click and I press Ctrl+S, which is to save what I just added, and I click and now open the file, and I go to lesson 1. I double click. Now let's see what happens. So we have the first one here, which is this image here, and I scroll down. I have another image here, down here. You can see now this image has, as soon as you put the cursor on it, it changes to a pointed hand. This means it is a link. If I click this link now, it opens the BBC website. I hope you are following. So this means that image has become a link. So let's go back to the code again. You click on the code editor. You see that it's href https bbc.com, which you can change to any website address, target, and blank. That's opening a new page. Then the image source, you know where your image source is. You define the height and the width of the source. So that's about that. Now let's make progress. We go down. Now we talk about external links. I think we have treated that before. We just use an example for the BBC link. This one will just give you an external link, but just for the purpose of reminding ourselves, let's copy this. Let's copy this. Right click it, copy, go back to the code editor. Underneath this, you click paste. Okay, let me move it to the right or move it to the left so it's properly aligned. And I press Ctrl S. I press Ctrl S, I go back to the main file. I double click it. Okay, so I scroll down. This is the first picture. You see the second picture. Now you see the link here, BBC. Now what do? If I click BBC, you can see it still opens the BBC website. Now if I want to create a space, let me see the code here now. I scroll down. Yes, okay, this is not the one that we just did. Okay, let me go back. Let me go back here. I go back here. Okay, look at the BBC. Now how do I create a space? You know what to do. You put a break. You put a break code. So I go back to the code editor. Between this and this, I put and press enter. Put opening tag. Put BR, which is a break code. Press and close it. I put another BR so I can give enough space. BR. Close it again. I Ctrl S. Save. I now go back to my main file. I double click it. Now I scroll down. You can see the BBC has given space from the picture. So that is how you make an image, a link. Now let's go back to Microsoft Word again. So now next thing is adding forms. Now this creates an input box. You see some websites where you have input. Let's give an example. Let's go to Google website. We go to Google website, type Google, press enter. Now you can see here, this is an input box, although this is a search box, but it's an example of what we want to do. We have to create an input box where you can enter information and that can be submitted for processing. So we're going to do something similar or close to this. So let's go back. We'll go back to Microsoft Word. So now you can see it says, look at the code. Always understand your code, because that's why you are a coder or a programmer. So you have form action. You see that form action equals to form action. Form action equals to open, that's nothing is going to be inside, and the method equal to inverted comma open. Input type open, name open, then ID blank, then you close the form. So let's copy this code now. We copy this code now. Right click it, press copy. We go back to the code editor, click underneath, press Ctrl V, the form appears here. We save, then we go back to the main file, double click it, scroll down. You see a form, an input box has been put where I can type anything. I can say hi, I can say this is an input box. Are you following? Now, if I press enter, nothing will really happen, but you see what the effects. Okay? Press enter. Okay? Let me scroll down. You can see when I press enter, it absorbs it. So it's supposed to take in information and process it. So this is the input box. Now let's make progress. We move adding a submit button. After this input box, you need to add a submit button so that the user can click that button and submit what has been entered into the input box. So if you watch the code carefully, it's the same. Form action, method, input type, name, ID. Now the difference is, before the form, the closing tag of the form, you put a break tag, you come down. Now you put button type submit, then close the tag, then you put the submit code. I can make this one capital letter. Okay, submit, then /button. So this is the only thing I will copy. I will copy it because it's the same code. I right click, copy this, right click and copy. I go back to my code editor. Remember where it is. Now it's before this form, closing tag form. So what did we have there? We press enter, we had the BR tag, BR, close the tag. Then we paste this, Ctrl V. Now the submit button is here. Then we save it, Ctrl S. We come back to the main file, which is lesson 1, double click it. So let's see the results. We scroll down. You can see now below the form, you have a submit button. You have the submit button. So that's the code for it. So let's make progress. We come to this. The next thing is adding label and placeholder. This is used to add a label. A label is a text before the text box and insert text in the form that guides the user the kind of data to enter. What does that mean? That the first one definition is to add label, which is before a text. You add label before the text box so that the user can know exactly what he or she is supposed to enter. Then you have a placeholder. A placeholder is inserted in the input box itself, inserted in the input or the form itself. Let's see how it works. Now, if you watch carefully, the first code, the last code we used started from form action method. Now let's go down and watch where this one starts from. Now we have label for name. We have first name. We put in front of it first name, label for name. Then input type, placeholder. Now break, button type, submit. Now if you watch carefully, this label and input type, which is for the placeholder, comes before the submit button. So all we need to do is to copy this first two, right click it, click copy, then go back to the code. Then remember, it comes before the submit button. So we place it before the submit button. So let's place it before the, remember, okay, fine, this is the input type. Let's watch it. Let's go back to the code. Let's see. You see, okay, you see the input type here is placeholder, first name. See input type. Before the input type, you also have the label for the name. So where are we going to put the code? You should be able to know where you put your code. Now I'll put it here. After the storm action starts, I highlight this, I press paste. Now let's take the code before we save it. So form action, put the label, name, then input type, placeholder. Now the button, submit. Now let's see how this code works. We save it, Control S. We'll go back to the main file, which is this. Double click this, the main file, and see the result. We scroll down. You see that now. So before the form action, you have first name. Let me open that code back so that we can see. Let me reduce it so that we can see. Now let's watch the code together. Now that is why it's called coding. You can know what you did. Now look at the code. Let me scroll down from this. Scroll down. Fine. So see, form action method blank. That's what gives us this form, this input box. Now label for name. You put first name, label for name. You can see the first name is here. So if I change it to first name, let me put it in capital letter. First, you will see and make this one to in capital letter. We'll come to that later. I'll save it and I'll run it later. Then we have label, then input type. Initially the input type was blank. It's still blank, but we have another code added, placeholder, which is this first name. This is what is inside this box here. Yes, let me bring back the code editor. Then we have break, then we have the submit button. So you can see. So let me run this again. Press enter. Now if you notice, the changes I've made has been reflected. You can see first name, the placeholder, and submit button. Now let's make progress. We click here. We move now, adding a hard code. Hard coded data is the data that is embedded directly within the code rather than coming from an external source. What does that mean? You can, in some websites, you discover that in some forms or some input box, you already see a text placed there, simply telling you that that text is what is supposed to be there and you don't need to change it. So now let's add that to what we have done so far. So we have form action, we have the label, we have the input type, placeholder. You can see the break. Now the input type, email, ID, name ID, value, USA. So this is the only thing we're going to copy here. This is an input type. So we right click it. We copy, we highlight it, right click it, click copy. Go back to your code editor. So the input is under the input type. Watch it carefully. It's under the what? The input type. Input type first name. After the first name, you have a break. So this is where it's supposed to be. Press enter. Then you Control V, which is paste. Control S to save. Now let's go back to the main file. Double click it. Okay, now let's scroll down and see the results. Now if you watch it very well, you can see you have first name here, you have the name, you have this first name here, you have USA, you have the submit button. Now what is missing? We can put a text in front of this USA. Let's see how it works. You have first name here, so let's go back to the code. How did we do this? Now the label for the name is first name. Now we didn't put the label for this, so now let's highlight this, right click and copy. Now come back after the break, press enter. We put in another label for name. So this one now we can change it to email. Delete this email. You can see it. Let me Control S to save. Go back to the main file, double click it, and let's see the results. Okay, you can now see it now. You can see that you have first name for this, then email. For example, you put USA, or I think maybe email doesn't suit you. Let's change it to country and bring this submit button down. So let's go back to our code editor. So here instead of email, we put country. Now when we put country, you see that we have put country. Maybe you put a column there if you want to make it more beautiful. Then country USA, then the submit button. What do? We put a break. Put break here, BR here, break. Then we press Control S to save. Go back to the main file, double click it, and see. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, beautiful. You can see now. You have country name. You have first name. You can see this is a placeholder. You can type anything you want inside. It's different, but in the country, the hard code is already USA. You don't need to type anything more because it has selected it for you. It has already been hard coded there before you put the submit button. Now let's make progress. Now we come here. We now have to see how we can add text. Now this allows you to add text to a web page. Now every other code remains the same. Form action method, label, first name, input, placeholder, break, input type, email. We have done this. Now let's scroll down. Now the next thing that comes on is the page tag, paragraph tag, add description, then the main text. Look at the code for it. Text area name, double inverted comma, ID, columns. How many columns is the text box? 30. How many rows is it? 10. Then text area. So we're going to copy this from here, copy it down, and we're going to insert it immediately after the input tab. So we'll go back to our code now. So we come here. So let's give a break. Let's put one break here, press enter. Then we push Control V. You can see Control V there, we have put it. We now put another break, BR. Let's scroll down. So this is the complete code now. So ID, this is the main code here. Just this description is just a text. Now add code, name, columns, and the rest. So let's save it, Control S. Go back to the main file. Let's say double click it. Scroll down to see the results. You can see now, you can see add description. The text box has been added, which you can type, my name is Lami from Nigeria or whatever. So you put that information, and you can click the submit button. Now you can see, let's click the submit button and see what happens. Now it said please include an at email, okay, because it is being shown as an email box. So let me put any email, okay, at USA. Let me put something there, USA at html.com, something like that. I click submit. It goes. Yeah, scroll down and see the difference. you can see that information has been submitted. The placeholder remains, which is a guide. The USA, because it's hard-coded there. Then every other thing that you typed here has been submitted. So you can see we're making progress. Now let's click here and go to, I think this should be the final one, adding selection. This allows you to add a selection where users can select from several options. If you watch the code carefully, everything remains the same. Form action, label, first name, input, placeholder, input, email, add description. So we go there after the break. This is how you add the select name, food type, ID equals food type. So it starts from here, select name, and it ends with select. Now the option value, rice for example, option value, salad, that's option 2 value, option 3 value there. So what do? We go back and we copy this to this point, right click it, click copy, then go back to the code editor. So before the submit button, we press, after the break, we press enter, then you Ctrl V, you paste. So look at the code here has been added. Then let's put another break now, BR, close it, then scroll down. So we see we have the complete code here. So Ctrl S. So now let's run this, open the main file, click this, double click it, let's see the results. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Now you see that. Now if you watch carefully, I click, you see rice here. If I click, you see other options come out, salad, ice cream. You see the options before you submit. So supposing I select salad, I can also click submit. If you go to the code and change the option, so let's the first one not be rice, let's call it cake for example. Then Ctrl S, then come back to the main code, double click it, scroll down. Now you see, now let's see, okay, it's still reading rice. Let's check why it's still reading rice when we've changed it to cake. Okay, sorry, we changed the wrong thing. So let's Ctrl Z is rice, the value is rice. Okay, this is where we're supposed to change it. We change cake. If we are changing it, let's also change both of them. Let's put the value as cake too, and you Ctrl S, save. Now let's press enter here. You can see now the option has changed to cake. So you can see how this has been coded. This is the code. Let me bring it closer. The code. I bring the code closer, and let me scroll down. Okay, let me bring out the output again, double click it, scroll down. So this is the output. So let me bring out the code back. Okay, fine. So this is, see the codes that you used to achieve this result. So far so good. So we have treated, I think this is the final place here. So we have treated, let's go back. We have treated in this topic, we have treated links, internal links, image links, external links, which we know before, adding forms, adding a submit button, adding label and placeholders, so adding hard code, adding text, adding a selection. So if you have enjoyed this lecture, please give us a thumb up by liking this video. Also, we also want you to share it among your friends. Tell them to subscribe to this channel so that we can reach out to more people and help them improve their IT skills. That is secondly. We also want you to make comments. If you liked the teaching, the tutorial, please say I like it. Say I like this tutorial. And if you have any questions or areas you want us to cover, which we didn't cover in the 4 lessons, you can also do so. So this completes the basics of HTML basics for beginners. So if you have any area you would still like us to cover, please write or make the comment on the comment section below. And like we said, you can always make reference to the lesson 1, lesson 2, or lesson 3 of this series. My name remains Vincent Hope. Thank you for watching. Do have a very blessed day.